I am no way associated with the WNBA or any of their sponsors or affiliates. The views and opinions expressed in this video do not express those of the league or any of its sponsors. They are my opinions. Simply put, I'm not getting paid for this shit. Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, here to present you with the 2013 Fan Awards for the WNBA's Defensive Player of the Year. Here are my nominees. So, defensive players are very hard to quantify because even the ones who don't get the big numbers are having a consistent presence. It's hard to fully justify who and why if you haven't actually watched the games and just seen how they match up against the league's best, standing in front of a tough opponent and just grinding it out with them on a consistent basis. Forcing them to make bad decisions, take bad shots, throw bad passes, and just keeping opponents not only to low point totals but low field goal percentages. With all that in mind, let's start the elimination process. It's hard to pick in this category because it's hard to quantify effort. And the stats are important. I mean, blocks and steals, I look at and especially rebounds. I look at all of those, but those do not make my final decision. Those just help point out to me that, oh, I haven't paid as much attention to this person. Maybe I should look at them more closely. But they don't necessarily define what you do out there on the floor. And stats are great because when you get steals and when you get rebounds, what both of those do is you're taking a possession away from your opponent, taking away an opportunity for them to score, and giving your offense another opportunity to score. So even an offensive rebound, you're taking away a possession for them. So that's good defense. You're limiting their opportunities to put up points. But those are not everything. That's how players like a Jayne Appel can be on this, because even though she doesn't get a lot of numbers, she doesn't pad the stat sheet. The stars are counting on her to be that anchor in the center. They're putting her in front of a lot of great players like a Candace Parker and a Tina Charles. It's hard to necessarily quantify everything that makes a player a good defender. So with all that in mind, let's start by eliminating a few people right off the bat. First of all, McCoughtry, she gets steals. That's a number. That's not defense. Brittney Griner, she gets blocks. That's a number, not necessarily defense. Jayne Appel, she has no numbers. Even though she's a great defender, we're going by both presence and numbers. If it was just presence, she wouldn't be eliminated as easily, but she doesn't get the big numbers, though she is top 10 in most categories. Rebecca Blanchard, she's getting a double-double on a nightly basis. She is one of those defensive anchors for that team. They'll put her in front of Candace Parker, no problem. And she is definitely a key piece in helping them get to that number one overall spot. But I don't know if it's her abilities themselves or if it's just part of that system, because there are nights when Maya Moore, Lindsay Whalen, they'll put up some big numbers, and even when they don't, they stay in front of their men. And I don't know if it's just a lot of great individual defenders on that team, or if it's just the system making it seem like they're all that well. Either way, I just don't really consider her a standout defender, even though I consider her a great defender, if that makes any sense at all, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So that leaves us with Erika de Souza, Candace Parker, Sylvia Fowles, and Tamika Catchings. The only one that I can think of who's not having a career year is Tamika Catchings. Why? Because this is what you come to expect from her. She's leading the league in steals. She's getting 7 rebounds a game, which is right on par with what she normally does. She's averaging a block a game. These are just regular, normal, every season numbers for her. Whereas Sylvia Fowles, Erika de Souza, they're getting career highs in a lot of different areas. None of that goes into consideration when deciding this winner. I just wanted to point that out. So between the 4 of them, I don't think you could go wrong. It's hard to shut down some of the greatest players, but if you can just make it hard on them, then you're doing your job as a defender, and which is also part of the reason why it's so tough to judge this. But I have trouble picking de Souza and Parker because they've got a lot of help around them making their jobs easier, so all they really had to do is just stick their hands up, and then that's it. They've done their job on defense. But then again, they do a great job moving their feet and everything else. But I just feel like personally, between de Souza, Parker, and Fowles, I just feel like Fowles is the best out of that bunch. She is one of the WNBA's true centers. She's just a really tall girl, plays very physically. She can deflect a lot of shots. She gets some of those tough rebounds. She's just a beast to match up against. And so for me, I have to choose her over those two, because they're all playing the same position. And between the 3, I just feel she's the most impressive, at least on the defensive side of the ball. That leaves us with 2, Sylvia Fowles and Tamika Catchings. Catchings, who leads the league in steals, Fowles, who leads the league in rebounds, second in blocks. Either way, you could plug any of them in. They'd be a great veteran leader defensively for your team. I think the best way I can say this is that it feels to me like Sylvia Fowles, what she contributes to the Sky defensively is not quite as important as what Tamika contributes to the Fever defensively. She is their anchor, and defense is their bread and butter, their way of life. Throughout this season, watching the games, seeing them in action, looking at the final scores, there are times when it feels like the Fever would not have won any games if not for their defense shutting people down. And Tamika is just a ferocious leader on both ends of the floor, and she's been getting it done everywhere. In the paint, on the 3-point line, you put her in front of anybody and she will play them tough and aggressively. And me personally, I just have trouble going against her. And it's not just because she's won it so many times. That honestly has nothing to do with it, because I don't even know if anyone's even talking about Fowles for this. But I'd rather go with Fowles just because, compared to Tamika Catchings, Sylvia Fowles is virtually unknown. There aren't as many people, especially those who are new to the league, who are talking about her. I'd rather give her the recognition, but I just feel like Tamika is the better all-around defender. And I think she does more, her defense does more for the team. I'm not picking her just because she's won it before and she's one of the favorites to win it again. Everybody loves her. I think, she's done it before because she's that great. I just think, this is what she's done throughout her entire career. Being that great defender. These are the things, like I said, this is just another normal season for her. This is just her doing what she does on just playing a complete all-around game. So yeah, in case you're still confused, for the 2013 Fan Awards, I am naming Tamika Catchings my Defensive Player of the Year. which in real life would technically be her sixth, but since this isn't an actual award, it's really only her first, and this one doesn't even count. So, but still, yeah, in my opinion, after a full season of watching these players, evaluating the games, I feel like Tamika Catchings was the greatest and most important defender in the league as far as individual playmaking is concerned. That in mind, I feel like every single player on this list is somebody worthy of respect, because I've played basketball since I was 6 years old, and there is not a single name on this list that I would feel confident going up against. I mean, they are some of the best players in the world, and I have the utmost respect for every single one of them. I'm just saying that I feel like Tamika is a hair better than the others.